Have you ever owned soap, ate SpaghettiOs, perhaps even done the unthinkable and watched Twilight? Well, if you have done any of those things, you might have also been arrested. Whether they're connected or not is another question, but while there are certainly some dumb laws in place around the world, there's also plenty of examples of reasonable laws being applied in dumb ways, or just police going a little bit too far. Let's take a look at 7 of the stupidest things people have been thrown in jail for. Are you currently in the possession of soap? Then watch out, you might get thrown in jail. When Anna Del Cruz and Alexander Bernstein were pulled over in Pennsylvania recently, the officers who stopped them refused to believe that 2 bars of homemade soap weren't actually cocaine. Seems like a common misunderstanding, but even when they tested the soap to see if it was cocaine, the test came back positive. After being arrested and thrown in jail for an entire month, a test later confirmed that the soap was actually not drugs and was actually just soap. The pair were then released. When one pastor in South Carolina was feeling the spirit move, he reportedly got a little bit too loud. Apparently, at Pastor Johnny Clark's Pentecostal church, police were called more than 50 times over the years for disruptive church services, as they were often way too loud. Neighbors claimed he was using microphones and drums despite court rulings saying he had to stop. Police eventually arrested Johnny and threw him in jail for 2 weeks, and he was even convicted of unlawful sound amplification. Now, Johnny is out of prison. SpaghettiOs are a delicious canned snack of ringed pasta and tomato sauce, but if you aren't careful, they could land you in prison. Ashley Huff was riding in a car that got pulled over in Georgia when the stop escalated. Cops ended up searching her bag and found a dirty spoon she had used to eat SpaghettiOs earlier. Officers thought the residue on the spoon was meth, and after a test came back positive for meth on the spoon, Huff was charged and spent more than 2 weeks in jail. After further testing came back showing the spoon was actually just covered in SpaghettiOs sauce, she was released. Jacob Jock was a juror in Florida for a minor court case. When he got there, he found that the defendant was his type and decided to friend her on Facebook, hoping to get a shot with her. This was very dumb. The defendant reported him to the court, and the judge not only removed him from the case, but also threw him in jail for 3 days. Be careful who you friend on Facebook. If you've ever rented a DVD, particularly Twilight, I have bad news for you. Lori Teal of New Mexico rented Twilight from her local library back in 2010. She then proceeded to forget about the DVD for about 2 years. Police, hot on the trail of the case, eventually tracked her down and took her to jail in front of her 5 kids, where she spent the night. Eventually, she was released. Have you ever passed gas? Was it possibly in a school? In 2012, a student at a Meridian, Mississippi school district was arrested after reportedly disrupting class by farting excessively loud. He was arrested and hauled off to prison and charged with disruption of a school function. He was later released. And finally, when 6 Italian scientists failed to accurately predict an earthquake in 2009 that killed hundreds of people, the government threw them in jail. The researchers were tracking seismic activity, but the activity didn't indicate there was a pending earthquake by their metrics. But when an incredibly damaging one struck, one they failed to predict, the government decided someone needed to take the fall. The scientists were thrown in jail, but eventually released, and the charges were dropped. Go ahead and let us know in the comments what the stupidest thing you've ever heard someone being arrested for is. And if you liked this video, give it a like and subscribe to our channel for more interesting videos concerning reality.